It's interesting how the concept of a DJ has changed over the past 50 years. I mean, it's a concept that only really came about as a result of discs, hence the name disc jockey. You know, originally people would have thought of a DJ as a radio personality who was jockeying discs. I think back to sock hops in the 50s, usually, like when I think of a DJ as a party DJ.
One thing that I discover more and more is how important Jamaican culture was to the current state of hip-hop.
You have a DJ who's playing a bunch of records and like really there to get the party rolling. I feel like that was a Jamaican thing originally.
That's where the first like big sound system parties went down. Different crews that had their own sound systems would kind of battle and see who had the better sound.
They took it a step farther, and the DJs would get on the microphone and start, you know, shouting and yelling and riling up the crowd at these parties.
And so that's kind of where the whole rapping culture came from, is sort of just having a mic on hand for these big sound systems.
The whole hip-hop culture, I think, is somewhat rooted in that.
Kool Herc, who came from Jamaica, was in the South Bronx in the 70s. He was just trying to do the same thing and just put on big parties. He'd look out and when it come to this drum break, and he'd look out and the crowd would just be going nuts. And so he was one of the first people to really say, oh, I'll get that on 2 records so that I can make that awesome part last longer. And that's what I think that's became looping. But when the early pioneers were doing it, they were just doing it with 2 turntables and just taking their favorite part and going back and forth.
Style means that your audience can find you because they're looking for a particular sound.
It's a way that you put together something that allows you to make an individual statement. It's the same thing like when you speak or when you write. You can see someone's signature style of their writing.
Your sound could either be a genre, or your sound could be something that's more eclectic or dynamic than held within one genre, but people come to see you because that's your sound.
It's about mass culture versus customization, pulling bits and pieces together to make a personal statement, but also to make a personal interpretation.
For me, it's all different types of genres. That's just my particular style of DJing, that I like to mix different genres together. I call that genre blending. Electronic music with acoustic music, you know, punk rock with hip hop, all of these different things can be mixed together to create something new.
It's kind of an open source system, an open source sense of being in a world where music is not about one style or one definition, one sense of rhythm, but essentially about an open system of communication with human beings. I mean, so I guess that's what the spooky style is, panhumanist rhythm, I guess, I don't know. In the last 10 years, you have stuff like speed garage, two-step, neurofunk, grime, hip-hop, and even in hip-hop, of course, you have different camps like Dirty South, Hyphy out of San Francisco on the West Coast. You have dancehall reggae, which has a lot of different styles. You have roots, you have dub, you have all the, you know, kinds of electronic styles of electronic reggae.
When you go out to a club gig, you can only carry, like, you know, you don't want to carry much more than like 80 pounds of vinyl with you, so you have to kind of really choose what you're going to play at that gig. And now I'm DJing with a computer most of the time, and I can have my entire library with me, so I can basically choose whatever I want to play. And I think that that's had a big effect on DJs across the board, and I find that to be a really exciting and interesting time, you know, right now.